Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
John?
Here.
Sarah?
Here.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public input is time and place for discussion items not already on the agenda with the time limit of 3 minutes each. Mayor to read 5 seasons stand down proclamation. Whereas Value Incorporated in partnership with the Cedar Rapids Metro Area Veterans Council, Iowa City VA Medical Center and the Lynn County Continuum of Care will hold Lynn County's 15th annual stand down for homeless and near homeless veterans and non-veterans. And whereas stand down is a term used in times of war in which exhausted combat units come off the battlefield to rest and recover in a place of safety, and whereas according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the stand down was organized
period attending tonight's meeting via Zoom, period.
okay,
Nate's here.
by a group of veterans in San Diego. Whereas today's stand down also refers to a community-based program that assists homeless and near homeless veterans transition to community living by providing access to human service agencies, including benefits, counseling, employment and training assistance, eye exam screenings, healthcare screenings, housing services, legal assistance, mental health treatment, and substance abuse counseling. And whereas stand down has been used as an effective tool in reaching out to homeless veterans, nationally reaching more than 200,000 veterans and their family members. Now, therefore, I, Doug O'Connor, the Mayor of Lisbon, Iowa, do hereby proclaim September 10th, 2021 as the 15th annual 5-season Stand Down Day and encourage residents to recognize the positive impacts of this event to assist veterans and to express gratitude to those who have served and continue to serve. All right. Discussion possible action on business 30.
Good evening, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. So at our last meeting, we reported on bids for Highway 30, and we were above what we were hoping to see. We did go back, take a look. There's an opportunity to cut some costs. We had planned to do a turn lane, and this would be as we were headed eastbound on Highway 30 approaching Washington Street. We could put a lane that we were going to reconstruct, and that was a pretty significant portion of pavement. We went back and Travis and Brandon and I discussed that. I think we could probably get away without having to do it and cut some of that cost. If we were to do that, that's a pretty significant change in the project, so we would want to deny the bids that we received or reject those bids and put the project back out. We would separate the sidewalk portion at Washington and Highway 30. That's a pretty small piece. We could have somebody local do that, and then put out the rest of the patches, which are a little bit larger. And we're thinking we could probably cut about $70,000 out of the project if we go that route and get much closer to where we need to be with the numbers. So that would be our recommendation based on our discussions with staff.
You said a turn lane at Washington?
Yeah, so if you're eastbound on 30, the turn on this Washington that turns into Sutcliffe Road, we added that because there was all that asphalt there that people just utilized that as a turn lane. So the thought initially was, we'll just paint that, make it a turn lane, but in order to do that, it needed some patchwork to be done to do that. So we just included it. That's probably, correct me if I'm wrong, probably the last lane we added, and it could be the first to go. That's the least important of the ones that we grabbed.
Turning which way?
South.
Oh, okay.
So we'd still have the left turn lane
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's needed.
Yeah, this is just that, because the asphalt was there and people use it.
Yeah.
So, but then how it's not as thick over there, and they would have to do some work to make that happen, so.
Currently, it's set up as a shoulder, not as a through travel lane, so it's a lot thinner, and we were going to replace that with thicker material, but if we don't put the turn lane there, and we don't encourage traffic, we should see less traffic on that.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to do?
70,000 is a lot. I mean, that brings us down to where we need to be. Is that,
Do you want to reject the bids and send them back out?
Yes.
I agree.
I can't
We'll just need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion?
I'll make a motion to
I'll
reject
second.
and rescind.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution 2821, approving transfer of funds.
So this is just, we had gone through the annual financial report, was finishing that up, and this is all the PD extra funds that hadn't been transferred back. So essentially, we're taking on those capital improvement funds, or the funds that they're in, since we're not going to be spending them, and putting them back into the general.
Move to
Motion
approve.
to approve, second.
Got a motion and a second. Travis?
Aye.
Nate?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Nate just voted for everybody.
Nate's
John?
on here
Aye.
on two different things, so I think he's on here on a phone, and I also think he may be on a computer or something, so I think that that's why we're getting the echo.
Sarah?
Aye.
Resolution 2921, naming this depository, banks for funds.
So during our audit, one thing that came up was, this resolution previously had Hills Bank at 5 million. Since we have more money in our account at 5 million, that's gonna show up as a negative on our audit. So they recommended that we pass a resolution, allowing 10 million. Keep in mind, the reason why that's in there is because all the money for these projects and the bonds are into our account, but we haven't spent them yet. So just in the meantime, per their eyes, we need to have this up so we can have that much money in there.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Sarah?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Nate?
Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
Correspondence?
I have nothing.
Nothing. City engineer report.
Not much new to report. We have been working with DNR on the water system to move the environmental clearances along. Once we get the CDBG application in, they'll have to follow a similar environmental clearance process, and a lot of that legwork will be done because the two share the same general approach. We're also working on surveying those areas just to get that moving along. So once we get to the CDBG stage, they like to see you about 50 to 75% done with the design. So we should be at that point by the time we get done with the income survey, get the application in and find out if we're awarded funds. So that's all moving ahead, and anybody that's been out on 30 east of town, Pelling's been working on that. They have a lot of the asphalt put down, and we'll continue to work on that project. So, any questions?
Thank you, Dave. Public Works Director.
First thing is the pool. It's that time of year to talk about closing the pool. We normally do it on the holiday. Wanted to know if this Sunday would 5th be a good last day to have it.
That's what we usually do it before Labor Day.
Yeah, Labor Day would be the 6th, and then that would, yep. So if you want, we just close it on Sunday and we'd be done. I know in the past, we've tried to keep it open, but we also need to try to get a contractor in here to blast it and paint it. So I'm hoping not to keep it open, so we can get that done.
You're gonna try to get it painted this year?
Yeah. So,
Would we not have it open for Labor Day, or you're saying close it on Sunday and it would not be open on Labor Day?
yeah, it would not be open on Monday.
Good.
Unless, I mean, do you want it, Stephanie, or?
I mean, I'm just thinking everybody's out of school and stuff like that, but however we've done it in the past, I'm fine with.
I mean, it's been all over, so I don't want to, I'm not saying there's a hard line we go here. The main reason we try not to do Monday is because of the 3 call-outs we'd have. So,
Gotcha.
Yep.
It's not quite worth the money, in other words.
Okay, with that, we got a good start on the stumps. Just want to remind everybody that we're not putting black dirt in because we're out of the seeding window. As soon as the temperatures drop and we start getting some moisture, we'll get black dirt in these holes, get the rest of them dug out. And the last thing is our sampler for the wastewater treatment plant failed on us. It actually, the Freon is outdated. You can't get that style of Freon anymore. So when I called the tech to come out and see if he could do anything, he said, I can come out there and charge you $500 for coming out there to tell you that we can't do anything.
What's the new one?
It's like $5,600. Now, this is where Brandon's gonna come in.
So Stephanie, I apologize, you don't have it. I'll email it to you. I put two pieces of paper in front of your desk. I guess Nate as well, you don't have it. It's just the American Rescue Plan. I received an email last week, I believe it was on Friday, and they said that those funds will be into our account within 2 weeks. And the first payment, there'll be 2 payments, one this year and one next. And so our first payment's $167,428.09. And the paperwork that I put in front of you are example of uses for those funds. Right now, we're working on creating an account in Encode. Per the state, they want these funds to be its own line item. So instead of putting the money in the general fund and then writing, transferring the funds, they want everything taken out of what we use out of that line. I'm sure it's just for them to keep track and make sure that we're in compliance. So with that, this would be a good example of, you'll see down there sewer, water infrastructure, talking about improvements and upgrades, and this whole thing is kind of to take these different priorities that you have here on things that have been waiting to be replaced or things that are on the way out. So this would be a good example to start. Obviously, it's a small amount to that number, but that would be somewhere where we get the money. So that'll probably be on the next agenda for discussion, but just letting you guys know.
How bad do you need that part, wearing that thing?
Pretty bad.
So I can take it?
Yeah, we're supposed to, yeah, we've been waiting for this to
Can
come
you
through.
guess how much it is?
Yeah, no, that's the price. I can't remember exactly what it was. We just called the ballpark it when we,
Well, he's
It's over my threshold.
we can extend that.
But the time the bill shows up, the money should show up, and we can pass it on the next meeting.
So I would probably say order if we needed it.
Yeah.
Nate or Steph, do you have an issue if we order that?
Not at all.
No issue, go ahead.
Okay. We'll probably just formality, put it on the agenda for next meeting. Thank you.
Brandon, if it comes back and it happens to be under the 5,000, you really wouldn't even need to.
Yep, I think it was 56, what was the quote we had, I believe, so that's, we'll adjust accordingly.
Joe, anything else?
nope, that's it.
Parks and Rec director here, great.
He's down
He's
at
down
flag
at the
football.
first night of flag football, so I don't have anything.
Police department,
Nothing additional, everyone's in the written report, unless you have questions.
anything from the ambulance?
Yeah, did you guys get the report there that I had sent out? You did not get that. Sorry, I can resend it to you and then you can forward it
Yeah,
if that works for you.
I know you talked about it, but I didn't know when you were gonna start, and I did not receive it.
Gotcha, I will get it to you tonight then when I get back to the office. So just kind of a little report and a little rundown of what we did. So we actually set a new high call record this last month in July. So we did 79 calls for the month, and that was with missing 2. We missed a tier and a transfer, so we had 81 requests is what it comes out to be. 62 911 calls, with 5 of those being a second unit call. We also had 1 third unit call that was handled by first responders, so we didn't request any mutual aid. We provided mutual aid once to Mechanicsville. We had 9 intercepts with various agencies, Mechanicsville, Stanwood, Tipton, Clarence, Bennett. Transfers out of Jones Regional, we did 6, and we did 2 standby events. So we are 6% above where we were last year. Last year was a slow year for us. People were staying out of the hospital, so we're glad to kind of be getting to our, I shouldn't say glad, but we're getting to our normal volumes as opposed to the slower volumes. We celebrated 3 anniversaries. We had Madison Day, who was with us 2 years, Jess Deeds, 2 years, and Ashley Paul, who's a Lisbon resident here for 1 year. We did a standby at Heritage Days. We went up to Jones County and provided standby for 12 hours for RAGBRAI. During that time, we provided them with 3 transports, just to kind of take some of the load off of them. In total, there were 5 ambulances up there with Anamosas 3. So I guess with that, that's kind of July in a nutshell. So August has been just as busy. We're anticipating another probably 60, 70 call month. So that's kind of our traditional track. So I guess, do you guys have any questions?
I don't.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Person Director.
We started football, flag football tonight, so that's where I was at before I got here. Other than that, we did our back to school night last week, and we had a really good turnout for that. We went through all the hot dogs I bought. I had to go get more, so. Other than that, soccer starts tomorrow.
Do you have any idea how many you had last week?
How many what?
How many people you had last week?
I bet we had over 200.
Good.
At least.
Nice.
Heard great compliments on it, so.
Yep.
Fire Chief report.
One thing fire related is just a reminder to everybody, the pancake breakfast on Labor Day.
City Administrator.
As we said, we had the audit last week. Everything went very well. They were supposed to be here 3 days and actually were gone in 2. Connie came in, which she had been paid for previously for that work. And so now she's officially done, so I want to thank her for all the work that she did to help guide me these last few months. So obviously you'll get the report when they get that done on the audit, and we'll have a presentation for that. As I said, also we're working on the end of the year report. It's not due until December 1st, but my guess is by the end of next week we'll have that done. I've also started to begin working on a budget amendment once we start with some of these projects to include discussion on what we're going to do with the lights over at the ball diamond. We're going to need that money in place, so I'm going to start working on that. We'll also include these funds for the Rescue Act, so I'll be putting that in there as well. As you saw on my notes there, that the barns were removed from this agenda. We had one contractor bid the project. For historic preservation, he went a little bit further than the stabilization piece in their eyes, so they met with him at their meeting on Thursday. He's going to go back out and readjust some numbers and scale it back a bit to what he believes the stabilization should be. So hopefully at the next meeting we'll have that. I'll just caution you, they had some personal matters within their family dealing with the death and whatnot, so he couldn't get that meeting, those numbers back to me in time, so it's tabled till next meeting. I talked to YTT today, reference the sports complex. They're going to have the documents to me by the end of the week. They'll also go to the city engineer and to the DNR. So we should have they'll be getting ready to put that out for bid. So we'll have those by the end of the week, and I'll share them at the next meeting. The income surveys are completed. We received our last one we needed on Friday. So kudos to Marcia for working at that. We sent those off, and I think the next window is October 1st, I believe, is the the next deadline for the grant. So we'll have that in plenty of time, and hopefully it works out for us. And then just as a general update, I talked to a couple of local kids that fish at the pond over at the Myers property there. They said that the pond right now is about 3 feet low with the lack of rain. As we move into the fall, and hopefully by the end of October, we're going to stock that with fish, assuming everything's in good standing there, and then we'll get that aerator in the pond. So for everybody in the area that's wondering about the fish being stocked and all that, that's our goal, is towards the end of October. And I think that is it, unless any of you have any questions.
Meeting with school,
I'm sorry?
meeting with the school.
That is on my agenda to meet with Pat. They were all out of the office last week, and then this week has been, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks prior, they're out of the office, and then last week they were all getting ready for school. So I'm gonna go over there towards the end of the week and get that figured out.
And we have a windmill to do the aerator at the pond, is that?
Correct, yep.
So that'll be going in this
That-
year yet?
That's the, yeah, with the fish in
Okay.
October, yep.
You got any questions, Brandon? Council reports. Nate?
I have nothing today.
Okay. Steph?
I just want to thank Connie for her help getting Brandon all up to par and up to speed, where he needed to be. And then also Marcia for working on those income surveys, because I know it was a hassle. And she's always really, really good about keeping everybody up to date on everything and getting that kind of stuff done. So I appreciate the work on that, so thank you. That's all I have.
Travis?
Just reminder, school starts, so keep an eye out for the little ones. I know this morning was a little chaotic with it raining as everybody was dropping everyone off, so just be careful when they're driving through there, make sure that they keep their eyes open for the little ones. The athletic complex, what's our goal for starting that work? Next spring, next year?
Yeah, I think it was actually supposed to be earlier, like this spring, I think is what they wanted. So they, like with everything, the prices and stuff were skyrocketing, so they kind of scaled back a little bit, slowed it down. So the goal, the last time I spoke to her, was that they were gonna put it out for bids in the winter to get their work for the spring,
Okay,
and start at that time.
okay.
And that'll be the phase one, which would be the street, Walnut up to Third Avenue, across down to Jefferson, and then the soccer fields
Okay.
below that.
We go over playing soccer on the next year.
No, no, we're gonna make sure that that gets established, and
Okay,
it'd be very similar to over by the school in the practice field.
yeah,
You know, that needs to get established. It's that, just the way it is.
no problem. Just wondering.
Yep.
That's all.
John?
Thanks to Connie for her many years of service. That's all I have.
Sarah?
Thank you, Connie, much appreciated, and I know Brandon appreciates it. And I ditto what, Steph and Travis said, thank you, Marcia, and then, school starting, so no matter where you're at, watch out, morning, evening, or after school. So, that's all.
All right, we got nothing. So, we got anything else? And here.